Welcome to Decoding Finnish History. We will start this expedition to the name of Europe in its mythological origins of the Greek story about Zeus and Princess Europa. The most popular theory links the name Europa to a Phoenician princess in Greek myth, who over time named the continent Europa, although historically it was considered a separate western region of Asia. The myth in question is as follows. Once upon a time, the god Zeus appeared among the cattle walking on the seashore, transformed into a beautiful bull. There were also girls playing on the same shore, and among these girls was a king's daughter, Europa, with whom Zeus was in love. The bull was white as snow, its horns glittered like jewels, and its eyes shone brightly and calmly. In amazement, the girls approached the strangely attractive bull, at first cautiously, then encouraged when the bull's gaze seemed so gentle. Europa patted the bull and held out flowers for it to eat. The bull jumped and bellowed sweetly and threw himself on the shore. The king's daughter dared to sit on the bull's back. The bull approached the sea, playfully trampled along the shore, but suddenly blew into the sea, taking the girl with her, who, frightened, held on to the swimming bull horns. What makes it even more interesting is that the same story is repeated in old Finnish folk poems. The Finnish story about the white bull goes as follows. There was a mighty Haltia spirit in the Cairo River. Once it came ashore when children were swimming on the shore. The Haltia looked like a big bull, white and very tame. The animal's gentleness attracted children to sit on its back. The bull happily jumped on the shore with a children's slide on its back, until one of the children happened to mention, "The Vesi came," so that the shore shook. Then the Haltia realized that his name was known. He was embarrassed and jumped back into the river, taking with him one of the children who had not yet fallen from its back to the ground.
Our vessel awaits.
So it is evidently a question of different versions of the same story. In both tales, there appears a divine being transformed into a white bull, who happily jumps among the young people who are having fun on the shore. In both tales, the bull's strange gentleness entices those on the shore to get on its back, and in both the bull then suddenly plunges into the water, taking one of the girls with him, Europa. Rarely do you find so many of the same features from tales from so different sources, and so completely down to the smallest details. The Finnish tale opens the story up into a considerably broader view, because it specifically talks about the water spirit, Vesi. It is more natural for it to move in the water in the form of a white bull, perhaps as a ship called White Bull, or heathen Finnish, Hisi, the captain of a pagan ship in the form of a white man in a horned helmet. These mythological stories enjoy playing with symbolism. However, it gets exciting because the tales have so much in common. How strangely Greek stories can be exactly the same in every detail as their Finnish counterparts, and how a legend in Greece, apparently based on true events, tells of the same event as in Finland. Maps of Europa marked on ancient maps of Karelia. The name Europa echoes the mythic journeys of the princess and the white bull, bridging Greek legend and Finnish folklore. On these centuries-old maps of Finnish Karelia, the name Europa stands out, a silent witness to the intertwining of myth and geography. Here the legend of the white bull and the princess finds a new home, connecting distant cultures through shared stories and ancient names. Karelia has been called in multiple different names in the past, like Kirjala, Kairiala, and the most interesting names of Turia or Turia. It is the same name where Phoenician Europa was princess. She was not princess of Tyre. It is not written that way in Old Greek, when Herodotus wrote the story 2,500 years ago. The following is an excerpt from Abraham Ortelius's Geography and History opus in Theatrum Orbis Terrarum from 1601. Europe. Where did it got this name? Who wrote the name, no mortal knows. But we say that the region got its name from Europe, Tyria, says Herodotus in the 4th book. Pliny calls this one of the conquerors of all nations, the most beautiful country. But what is Phoenician Tyria, which was home of Europa? Herodotus wrote his history in the Ionian dialect of ancient Greek, where the letter upsilon refers to the letter I or U, which in ancient Greek thus represented both the sounds U and Y. In other words, Tyria could also have been Turia, like the old Finnish Karelian name. Turja and Turia were written in Persia, Tuiria, the place where the Harias and eventually Arias came from. There is a place called Harjavalta in Finland. It means power of Harias. The letter I in the word Tyria was the ancient Greek iota, which is written with a capital I and a lowercase small j. It comes from the Phoenicians and their letter yod. The Phoenician yod or yod is where iota comes from, but represents the sound j, but it can also function as a long I vowel. In other words, Tyria could have been both Finnish words Turia and Turja. No, I am not going to go to Egyptian Tyrian kings list. No. But let's continue. The ancient Europa in the old maps is in today's Europa area. Europa family name used to be surname Europaeus. It is now mostly Finnishized in the form Airapäe, which is now known as a Finnish priest family. There has been also many historians, archaeologists and politicians from the Europaeus family. Etymology of the name comes from Europe, and it is pronounced as Europe us. The story doesn't end here. The Europe's first fully literate Minoan civilization, 3,100 to 1,100 BC, in Crete, spoke Finnish. At the time when this Europa and Zeus story was born. Not only that, but Minoan culture was largely Finnish genetically as well, especially when Zeus kidnapped a Phoenician girl named Europaeus from the Karelian Europa to be his wife, in the form of a white bull. The haplogroup U5A1D2B of the mother of this future King Minos became the queen of the Minoan culture. The maternal lineages are all mainly Northern European Finnish. The paternal lineages are a more varied coverage. Haplogroups I1, I2, I2A, I21B, K2LR1A1, E3B3, and J1. Southwest Finnish I and NM, 231's ancestor K2, and Estonian Norwegian R101, but also North African E3B3 and Arab J1. The 18th dynasty in Egypt was genetically Minoan, and the arts and sciences in both cultures were unified. The story behind the name of Europe might just be factual, and it came from Finland to Crete. From the northern borders of Europe to South Europe's southern borders. Thank you for watching Decoding Finnish History.